All right, good morning, everyone. Hope you all are doing well, ready to start our trading week here. All right, so let's take a look and see what is going on with Bitcoin. All right, looks like we had a lot of violence last night, right? We're all the way up to 65,410. That's a really good sign, just to end the month. Interesting. Okay, so no wick on this candle, it looks like, right? Wow. Let's see. Yeah, open and low are the exact same price as 63,279.9. All right. That is interesting. All right. So, taking a look, let's go up to the week actually. So taking a look at the week, we closed this past week fairly bearish, right? We kind of had a bearish engulfing candle here to close our week. We had a pretty big range, between 65,702 and 67,268 to 62,233. We opened at 65,702. So fairly large range that we had here. Within a good $5,000. Okay. Um, Now, for this week, I told you guys I wanted to see, violence to the upside, right? I was hoping that we would get more of a dip, especially not starting weekly open with no tail at all. So that's a little bit concerning, right? Because, I don't like to see that when, we just blast off to the upside, especially on a Monday, and we don't have any tail on the daily at least. Even in we don't have any on the weekly either. Um, so that being said, this is where, JP's style really comes into play, right? You have to exercise a lot of patience with this because you don't want to chase this candle. Unless you were in down here at like the 63, bounce down here and you're still in that trade, it's very hard, you're going to see in these smaller time frames, it would have been very hard to get something or get an entry to get into this. And not only that, we don't know at this point what the daily is going to do. We're coming up to this 65,705 area, which is the value area low into the next range. So it's going to be very difficult to tell, for right now at least, what Bitcoin is going to do. Going into the 12-hour, you're technically kind of getting a little bit of rejection off of the 50 MA. I mean, there's still about 10 hours left, so that really doesn't tell me much. We're keeping this 21, so I would say as long as, we keep this 21, we're probably going to stay bullish at least for the day. Because within 12 hours you're going to be closing, right? So, as long as we keep this 21, that's a decent sign as it's curving up. Um, on the 8 hour, yeah, I mean, definitely, I want to see if we're going to be continuing this move. I want to see consolidation within this area. 64,410 would be my bottom, and then 65,705 would be kind of like where I would say we are getting back into this value area profile. And remember, guys, like I said, if we get back above this and we're closing candles on the bigger time frames above this line right here, we're in a discount of the volume area profile, the fixed range, right? So when we're in a discount, we're looking for longs. But like I said, we have to get above 65,705 and consolidate. We would have to get up here, chop around, right, and then move from there. Um, so that's what I'm going to be looking for as far as, a bullish sentiment goes. Keeping the 64,410, and then if we can get above the 65,705, I want to see bigger time frame candles close above it and consolidate. Okay. Um, 4 hour time frame, kind of showing the same thing. I mean, you can even see this now where my indicator starts showing up, but this is where the start of the week is, and you can see we're just trading up. No downtrend just yet. So it's either a really bullish sign, like we've really flipped trend on the macro time frame, or this is just kind of trying to trick people out before it really starts heading down. And I mean, now I'm really expecting that 62 area, even further than that, probably into the 60,000 range, if we're not flipped on a macro scale to bullish, okay? Um, could definitely get some sort of repeat like last week. We pumped up first. What we saw for the FOMC meeting, we kind of tested that weekly open and then just fell, right? So it's hard to say at this point. You know, if we're gonna stay extremely bullish, I want to see the 65.705 reclaimed sooner rather than later, and us to consolidate above it. That is a point of, resistance for right now, as you can see from last week. So, definitely be on your toes for today. We call it False Move Monday. One thing that does give me hope here, looking at the 1 hour, is you're about to get that. You already got somewhat of a cross with the 9 MA. You're about to get a potential golden cross with the 21, as long as we can stay and consolidate above it. So that could definitely influence a move to the upside. At least to even, then you go to the 2 hour, we're already above it. 3 hour, we're touching. So I would say, probably potentially even getting a move up to the 4 hour, as long as we can consolidate and keep moving up, which would definitely bring us back into that range, right? Um, but from a timing perspective, it's a little bit sketchy to me still because, like I said, we don't even have a tail for the week. So, um, if we are bullish for right now, look for our top to be in either today, tomorrow, or Wednesday. Um, and then for us to just kind of collapse from there. Otherwise, if we are extremely bullish, we're going to have a continuation and we won't make a wick for the week, which would be extremely, extremely rare. And it's very uncommon for that to happen. Um, I mean, you could see this down close candle, we had a bearish week, which we are in a bear market right now. So this would make sense that we didn't really have a wick to the upside. The last time it looks like that we had a week do that for the bulls would be back in, let's see, this one. So back in April. Yeah. Back in, we even made a little, because we made a little bit of a wick then. That was 85 100. Open was 85 138. So we did still have a little wick down of $38. Ugh, I don't even know. Um, I mean, that's how rare it is that you don't see that for at least the bulls for that often. The last one was a bearish candle that we did that. So just be wary of that. I mean, it hasn't even happened in our bull market that we had one like that. So um, that's very sketchy to me that we don't have a wick to the downside, especially in a bear market that we're in right now. So anything's possible. Keep your mind open, but that's definitely something to think about. Okay. Let's go ahead and move into trading different, my liquidity tool. Taking a look at the daily. Let's see here. So, taking a look at the daily. Just having the 25x checked off, you can see that we have some liquidity up to that 68 level I was talking about. That would be getting your rejection off of the 4 hour 200 MA. So on the 4 hour, like I said, so definitely possible that we could get there. We could even get there, like I said, sooner rather than later. We could top out there for the week, pump Monday and Tuesday and then reverse. Let's check off all of these liquidity boxes though and see kind of where we're at. So again, unless I really zoom in, there's not a lot of liquidity to the upside that's concentrated. I really have to zoom in. So, this tells us that we could potentially get up to that 69, 70,000 level. Um, but again, it's not like it's extremely concentrated. There's a bigger chance on this, the daily time frame that we're going to go down first, right? Before, moving up here up to these upper pools. Let's go ahead and go into the 4 hour. So the 4 hour kind of painting the same picture. Let's take off some of these. All right, so the 4 hour does say that we have legs to get up to 69, 620 now, and get rejected off of there. So that would be, that 70,000 area that we've been talking about for a while. I believe that would be a bearish 786. Let's take a look here. So right above the 618. So you kind of have to pull it from here, probably this next impulse. Yeah, 69. Let's see. Let's take off the liquidity real quick here. 69,043 would be from here. So I would probably say that would be a good place to start. 69,043 um, to take out all the way up to here. Usually you don't take out the full pool of liquidity. We kind of usually leave some bridges. But that would be a place where I would target probably. To the upside, if we keep moving upward, again, that 68 level we'd have to blast through as well, so keep that in mind. We're getting a lot more liquidity to the downside. Obviously, I've been targeting the 62 area, 61.8 area, so I would definitely keep my eye out for it. Um, I don't think that we will visit it today. I think that's more so later on in the week, especially if we're going to have a bearish week. Expect this to be taken out maybe Thursday or Friday if we do flip bearish, which I'm kind of expecting now at this point because of that weekly open, and we've just been trading up. So let's take a look at our 1 hour and see kind of how this ties in. So looking at the 1 hour, all right, so it looks like we've gotten above the 65,174, which is good, that was, where we had a lot of this concentrated liquidity. The 1 hour says that, we can continue our move up even to 67.6, where there's some more red to see, and we could even go higher than that, honestly. It really depends on how, we react to these higher concentrated liquidity levels. This says that we could even, go all the way up to 74, 2, according to the 100x. That doesn't really match up with the higher time frames getting all the way up here. So, I would be wary about assuming that we're going to get up here. Um, Definitely we could support this, up to 70K idea, up to 68, 69K idea. That's where there's some more concentrated liquidity if you check off the 50x. Um, but that's kind of what we're seeing on the smaller time frames. Let's go into the 15-minute. So 15-minute, kind of showing the same thing. I mean, we do have a lot of liquidity to the upside now, so we could definitely get up here. Um, yeah, I mean, I would expect probably 67, 68 first if we, don't get rejected off of the value area low, and continue on to the upside. Otherwise, we could get rejected soon off of that value area low. 65.7 area was, where that begins, that value area low begins. Taking a look at our order book, it does, have a decent amount of orders to the upside, and they're not huge. So there is a good potential we could just slowly crawl our way up here, up to about 68 it shows. We have this nice order down here at 63, 487, so we could come down first even potentially, which would be okay because that would possibly support the bigger move as long as we would get rejected off of there. We still have a ton of orders down here that are bigger to 62,000 down to 61, 61.5 it looks like. So that's definitely in the cards for this week. Um, yeah, so, this is Kiyotaka, our order book. It definitely shows that, there's orders on both sides, definitely bigger orders and more orders to the downside, but we do still have some to the upside, so it could support the move up still. Anyways, guys, that's what I'm seeing so far for Bitcoin. It's going to be definitely difficult to trade for right now, because the weekly open is definitely very sketchy in my opinion. So even the daily open sketchy, but we could definitely close like a bullish engulfing and not have a wick to the downside on the daily. I'm more so concerned about the week. Let's take a look real quick at the simple map on trading different and see where we're at here. So let's go to the simple map. All right. So the simple map, it definitely shows that we wiped out the 100x for the most part to the upside. We have a little bit left, as you guys can see. It supports the idea that we're going to go down soon, right? There's more 100x to the downside, more 50x to the downside, right? So it's telling us a micro time frame, so like your 15-minute, your hour, it's telling us that we have a better chance of going down rather than going up for right now. You do have a lot of 25x to the upside. Like I said, some 50x, a tiny, tiny bit of 100x now, but um, it's kind of showing that on a micro time frame, we're at least going to go down probably to the 64 680 area. Um, so kind of keep that in mind. You know, you could pull like a fib level. Let me see and see here. Where does 64 680 land? So that would be right about, yeah, I mean, we have a triple bottom that we could wipe out here. That's not even down to 64 680, but you know, I would say probably if we were to pull a fib from here, you know, 64 360 would be kind of my guess if we were to come down and we were going to do a continuation up. Um, there's a lot of people looking for shorts already. I am staying out of the market for now. I do not want to play games with this. This is, you know, going to be probably a reckless day to go back and forth, but not financial advice. You can do what you want with that information there. Um, Swing, you know, on the swing scale, it does look like we have some more of an ability to go to the upside. I mean, obviously we have this concentrated 25x and 10x, but we do have a decent amount of 10x to the upside, and some 25x to kind of get us there. So it's the 4 hour and daily say that we still have some legs to run up more to the upside, which is a good sign. At least for now, you know, so we could potentially top out 68 to 70,000 and then drop, right? Which is kind of what we were talking about, kind of what I'm expecting if we were to continue this move up for at least for right now, and not make that wick yet for the week. So, anyways, guys, this is what I'm seeing for the day. Again, if you guys want to utilize Trading Different, I highly recommend it. It really helps me at least really map out what Bitcoin's going to be doing, possibly for you know the micro and the macro time frames. It's extremely helpful rather than just looking at a chart. Use my code tradingdifferent.com/code/Sean to get that 10% off. So feel free to use that. You'll get 10% off of the full tool package, which is a decent amount off. So feel free to use that and you know take advantage of it. So anyways, guys, that's what I have for this morning. I will give you guys an evening update later on this afternoon. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Stay safe with trading, and I'll talk to you later.